Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Yeshi Johnson. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Tuesday, the 26th of October. Indian capital sees sharp spike in dengue cases. Total tally crosses 1,000 this year. Activists hold anti-Pakistan protests around the world to highlight atrocities in Balochistan. And traders block highway, demand opening of Afghan-Pakistan border crossing. And now for all the details. Dengue is becoming a cause of concern for public health authorities across India, as hospitals are reporting increasing cases of vector-borne disease despite a drop in COVID-19 cases. Delhi registered 1,006 cases of dengue this year, with 283 fresh cases logged in the last 1 week.
Hospitals in New Delhi are witnessing a surge in dengue cases as the number of patients from the India's national capital and nearby areas, especially northern Uttar Pradesh state, continue to go up. Several hospitals in the city have converted their surgery wards into dengue wards to accommodate more patients as the national capital tries to cope with the deadly waterborne disease. As many as 1,006 dengue cases with 283 fresh cases logged in the last 1 week have been reported, along with 154 cases of malaria and 73 cases of chikungunya in the national capital, as per the data released by South Delhi Municipal Corporation. The first death due to the vector-borne disease was reported in Delhi in September.
डेंगू की करंट सिचुएशन बहुत खराब है. फीवर के केसेस काफ़ी आ रहे हैं. ऑलमोस्ट 250 to 300 केसेस फीवर के आ रहे हैं और उसमें से 70 to 80% डेंगू के ही केस हैं.
Dengue fever is common in South Asia, especially during the monsoon season, and there is no specific treatment. But with early detection and access to proper medical care, fewer than 1% of sufferers die from the disease.
मैंने बाहर भी चेकअप कराया था तो वहाँ से कोई बेनिफिट फायदा नहीं हुआ, तो उसके बाद फिर मैं इस अस्पताल में लेके आया हूँ.
तो यहाँ पे इलाज सही हो रहा है, तबीयत बेटर है?
ये अभी तो तबीयत ठीक नहीं है जी, जब से ऐसे ही है जी, कोई मतलब अभी आराम नहीं है सही तरीके से.
Hospitals in northern Prayagraj city were also overwhelmed with dengue patients on Tuesday. Unseasonal rains have triggered dengue and the number of patients has gone up in the city. Dengue is transmitted by several species of mosquitoes within the genus Aedes. There are 4 types of dengue strains and type 2 and 4 are considered to be the more severe and normally require hospitalization. The Aedes mosquito breeds in clean stagnant water, according to experts.
India's apex court on Tuesday asked the Uttar Pradesh state government to give protection and expedite recording of statements of eyewitnesses in the Lakhimpuri Kheri violence case, in which at least 4 farmers were allegedly killed after vehicles driven by workers of ruling Bharatiya Janata Party ran over them on October 3.
India's Supreme Court on Tuesday asked why there were only 23 eyewitnesses in the Lakhimpuri Kheri violence case when there were hundreds of farmers in the rally, and ordered the northern Uttar Pradesh state government to expedite recording of statements of eyewitnesses before a judicial magistrate and also give them protection. The case pertains to the deaths of 8 people, including 4 farmers, who were allegedly knocked down by vehicles driven by workers of ruling Bharatiya Janata Party or BJP while they were protesting against the government's 3 new farm laws earlier this month. India's junior Interior Minister Ajay Mishra's son Ashish Mishra is also among the 13 accused currently in police custody.
उनका ये मानना था कि क्या आपको एक इंजर्ड विटनेस नहीं मिले, इतनी बड़ी घटना होने पे कोई आपको इंजर्ड विटनेस नहीं मिला. उन कहीं ना कहीं ये बताता है कि कहीं ना कहीं कोर्ट को जो है उनकी सारी उस पर जो पेश कर रहे हैं उस पर उनको उतना विश्वास नहीं जम रहा है. कोर्ट ने ये भी आदेश दिया है डिसीजन को कि आप जो है इस बारे में जल्दी से जल्दी जो है गवाहों की वो सारी चीज़ें कार्रवाई जो भी प्रोसीडिंग है कराने का प्रयास करें.
The court also sought a separate status report on death of the BJP workers and that of a local journalist in the incident and posted the matter for hearing on November 8.
Moving on, Baloch activists staged a series of protests recently in major cities across the world to highlight atrocities by Pakistan in Balochistan. They highlighted several innocent Baloch people have been targets of so-called counter-terrorism operations by Pakistan and killed after being forcibly disappeared.
The Baloch National Movement held a series of protests recently in parts of the world, including in the Netherlands, South Korea and Germany, to make the international community aware of Pakistani atrocities in Balochistan. The protesters blamed Pakistan was committing genocide of the Baloch people, as there has been a rise in incidents of enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings of not only political activists but also innocent women and children in the region. They also raised voices against the recent Hoshab killings, in which 2 children were allegedly killed in a mortar shell blast by Pakistan's paramilitary Frontier Corps, and the deliberate attempt by the bureaucracy to cover up the incident. The demonstrators in Germany called Pakistan a terrorist state and urged the international community to stop providing financial assistance to the country. Activists have long accused that Pakistan army has been carrying so-called military operations in Balochistan with an aim to eliminate the Baloch people. They blame thousands have been internally displaced because of armed conflicts and army operations over the years.
In news from Pakistan, inflation in Pakistan has broken a 70-year record in the last 3 years, according to a report by the Federal Bureau of Statistics. Amid the dire situation, opposition parties have intensified anti-government protests across the country, slamming Prime Minister Imran Khan for failing to control the frequent price rise, which has hit all sections of the society.
Inflation in Pakistan has broken a 70-year record in the last 3 years during the tenure of Prime Minister Imran Khan-led government, with food prices doubling while the prices of clarified butter, oil, sugar, flour and poultry have reached historic levels, local media reports suggest. According to a latest reports by FBS, the Federal Bureau of Statistics, from October 2018 to October 2021, the price of petrol has gone up by 49% from Rs 93 to Rs 138 per litre in 3 years. While the food prices have also rocketed, with highest being the clarified butter or ghee, which rose by 108% to Rs 356 per kilogram. Meanwhile, opposition parties have intensified anti-government protests in parts of the country over the issue of rising inflation. Locals have time and again slammed Prime Minister Imran Khan's government over its failure to control the frequent hike in prices of food and other essential commodities, which have hit their domestic budgets.
तो इस वक्त पेट्रोल की कीमत 138 रुपए है और अफसोस की बात यह है कि मौजूदा हुक्मरान ये कहते हैं कि हम इसलिए महंगाई कर रहे हैं कि आलमी मार्केट में पेट्रोल की कीमतें बढ़ गई हैं। जब पेट्रोल की कीमतें उस मार्केट में कम होती हैं, हर 15 दिन के बाद मिनी बजट आ रहे हैं और हमारे ऊपर बम गिर रहे हैं। ऐसी सूरत हाल में लोगों का जीना दूभर हो गया है।
As Pakistan's economic problems turn into a political liability for Prime Minister Imran Khan, experts say they are noticing tanking public approval ratings for the government.
The Chaman border crossing between Pakistan and Afghanistan is a vital source of customs revenue for the cash-strapped government in Afghanistan. It has been closed for about 3 weeks, despite repeated protests by truckers and others stuck waiting at the border. Traders in Pakistan on Monday blocked a highway, calling for the Chaman border crossing to reopen. Hundreds of trucks and other vehicles waited at Chaman, one of the main crossings between Pakistan and Afghanistan, on Monday, as the border closed again after a brief opening the day before, despite promises that it would reopen. Using rocks as roadblocks, traders in Pakistan blocked a highway on Monday, calling for the Chaman border crossing to reopen. The Chaman border crossing is the second largest commercial border point between the two countries after Turkham in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. It links with Spin Boldak in the Afghan province of Kandahar and is regularly used by thousands of labourers and traders from both countries.
हजारों मुसाफिर हमारे पाकिस्तानी जो बॉर्डर के उस तरफ फंसे हुए हैं, हजारों मुसाफिर जो अफगानी है वो बॉर्डर की इस तरफ फंसी हुई है। हमने पहले भी स्ट्राइक किया था, एहतजाज किया था। मकसद ये है जो पाक अफगान बॉर्डर दो तरफा तिजारत की बहाली की मुतालिबा है। अफगान सिटीजन कार्ड तस्करा और अफगान पाकिस्तानी कौमी शनाख्ती कार्ड पर आमद-ओ-रफ्त का इजाज़त दिया जाए।
The crossing, a vital source of customs revenue for the cash-strapped government in Afghanistan, has been closed for about 3 weeks, despite repeated protests by truckers and others stuck waiting at the border. Originally closed by Pakistani authorities due to security threats, disputes over issues ranging from COVID-19 to the validity of Afghan travel documents have prevented the reopening of the Chaman crossing, despite severe hardship to truckers and local farmers. The border was briefly opened on Sunday to let people with urgent medical needs into Pakistan, which has a much more developed health system than Afghanistan. But it was quickly closed again, leaving many stranded. Moving on to news from Sri Lanka. Primary schools across Sri Lanka reopened for students on Monday after being shut for months to contain the coronavirus spread. The government had decided recently to open schools gradually as COVID-19 cases have been on a decline. Under the first phase, schools with less than 200 students were opened last week, while adhering to all precautionary measures. Primary sections of all schools were opened this Monday under the second phase. However, the student attendance was only 45% on the first day, reports suggest. Health authorities have said the number of cases have reduced in the island nation in recent weeks, but people still need to remain cautious and follow all guidelines. Sri Lanka has recorded 536,645 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and recorded 13,640 deaths so far. In a bid to provide a platform to painters to help them showcase their talent and exchange ideas with fellow artists, a national-level painting camp has been organized in India's Jammu and Kashmir. More than 24 artists and students from different parts of the country are taking part in the 5-day-long camp.
A 5-day-long national-level painting workshop and calligraphy exhibition has been organized in Srinagar city of India's Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir to promote artists and present the rich cultural heritage of the Kashmir Valley through art. The camp has been organized by Jammu and Kashmir Academy for Art, Culture and Languages at Shergarhi Complex in Srinagar. Organizers said the art complex is becoming tremendously useful for the artists as it is giving them a greater platform to show their artwork and interact with other artists and also reach out to prospective buyers.
भारत एक बहुत बड़ा देश है और हर जगह का जो कल्चर है वो थोड़ा अलग-अलग है. हम अलग-अलग भाषा बोलते हैं, हमारे रीति रिवाज अलग है, तो हमारा काम करने का तरीका भी अलग-अलग होता है. और जब एक दूसरे से मतलब जैसे काम का इंटरेक्शन होता है, जैसे हम पेंटिंग करते हैं तो पेंटिंग में वहाँ की जो संस्कृति है या वो झलकती है, तो उसका भी आदान प्रदान होता है जब हम एक साथ काम करते हैं.
इसकी सबसे बड़ी अहमियत ये है कि बाहर से जो आर्टिस्ट आते हैं, अगर उन्होंने कश्मीर ना देखा हो, अगर वो कश्मीर आते हैं, एक मौका उनको ये भी मिलता है कि यहाँ वो नेचर को स्टडी करें, यहाँ वो इंस्पिरेशन हासिल करें.
More than 24 students and artists hailing from different parts of the country are taking part in the camp. The camp will conclude on October 28.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. Indian capital sees sharp spike in dengue cases. Total tally crosses 1,000 this year. Activists hold anti-Pakistan protests around the world to highlight atrocities in Balochistan. And traders block highway, demand opening of Afghan-Pakistan border crossing. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/AsAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @AsAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.